When people think about power in fiction, they often imagine strength, technology, intelligence. But every once in a while, a story comes along that asks a far more unsettling question. What happens when someone gains absolute power and still isn't satisfied? That question sits at the hand of the Infinity Gauntlet, a landmark Marvel story published in 1991. Now on the surface, this story appears to be a cosmic superhero spectacle. It features gods, cosmic entities, galactic battles, and nearly every major hero in the Marvel universe. Beneath that spectacle lies something much more philosophical, because the Infinity Gauntlet is not really about power, it's about obsession. At the center of the story is Thanos, a character who is often misunderstood as simply a villain obsessed with destruction. In reality, Thanos is far more complex than that. Thanos is a philosopher in nihilism. He believes that existence itself lacks the inherent meaning, and in many ways, his actions are attempts to impose a form of order onto that perceived chaos. When Thanos acquires the Infinity Gauntlet, a device capable of controlling every fundamental aspect of reality, he essentially becomes omnipotent. The Gauntlet houses 6 cosmic forces, or stone: time, space, power, mind, soul, and reality. Together, they allow the wielder to manipulate existence itself. Imagine this for a moment. Possessing the ability to alter the laws of physics with a thought, to rewrite time, to reshape matter, to command consciousness, to bend reality into whatever you desire. That is the scale of the power we are dealing with. And yet, the most remarkable thing about the story is not what Thanos does with the power, it's why he does it. Thanos is driven by his devotion to death. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, Thanos and Lady Death has a little thing going on. Not merely death as a concept, but a cosmic embodiment of death itself. In Marvel's mythology, death is a literal entity, and Thanos seeks to impress her through acts of grand cosmic sacrifice. This is why he famously eliminates half of life in the universe with a single snap of his fingers. Not out of strategy, not out of necessity, but as a gesture of love. That act alone transforms the story into something deeply philosophical. Because Thanos is not conquering the universe, he is performing for it. The tragedy of Thanos is that even after gaining total control of reality, he remains fundamentally insecure. He possesses infinite power, yet still seeks validation. And this is where the Infinity Gauntlet becomes something more than a superhero story. It becomes a meditation of the nature of power itself. History, both fiction and real, shows us a recurring pattern. Power rarely satisfies those who pursue it most aggressively. Instead, it often magnifies the insecurities already present within them. In Thanos' case, absolute power simply reveals the emptiness and the center of his philosophy. Throughout the story, the heroes of Earth, characters like Captain America, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, attempt to challenge Thanos. But what's fascinating is that they never truly defeat him through strength. They defeat him through psychology. Thanos ultimately loses because deep down he does not believe he deserves ultimate power. He sabotages himself. This idea that the greatest obstacle to power is often internal is one of the most compelling themes in comic book storytelling. It reminds us that the human condition remains constant, even in cosmic settings. No matter how vast the stage becomes, the real conflict is always internal. Artistically and narratively, the Infinity Gauntlet helped redefine what comic book events could be. It expanded the scale of storytelling beyond planets and galaxies into philosophical territory. And perhaps most importantly, it demonstrated that even in a universe filled with gods and cosmic entities and the most dangerous forces, is still the human desire to be acknowledged. And that is why the Infinity Gauntlet remains one of Marvel's most influential stories. Because beneath the explosions, beneath the cosmic battles, beneath the spectacle of infinite power, it tells a surprisingly human story. A story about ambition, about insecurity, and about the unsettling truth that even when someone holds the universe in the palm of their hand, they may still feel profoundly empty. And that idea, That power alone cannot fill the void of purpose, is what gives the Infinity Gauntlet its last weight. Because sometimes the greatest stories in fiction are not about heroes defeating villains, they are about revealing the quiet weakness that exists within us all.